are looking at an operation headquarters. That would be the equivalent of a command center. Only this independent custom race is the UED, the United Earth Directorate. Yes, we're trying something a little different today. That supply drop was a beacon. The UED uses the beacon to call down structures, such as the Arsenal, which is your supply depot of sorts. The Arsenal gives you 8 supply, which for the UED is called logistics. But you can also upgrade your Arsenal to give yourself one of 3 different kinds of turrets. Those beacons are so cute. I love their little radar beanies. It's a gateway in the main for Protoss. And here we've got our very first teleportation node coming down. That's the basic structure through which you produce all of the UED's military units. Ooh, double gas for Protoss. Maybe we better sneak in some intros. Did you know that our UED player's father's brother is a little bit timid? That's right, he's a Shiunk! Okay, that was a bit of a reach, but at least I was swinging for the fences there. That's a Vespene purification plant. That does exactly what you think it does. It can take up to 3 workers. Oh, we've got a beacon leaving the main. I think he's expanding to his natural. It's time to spin his little hat. Never mind, he doesn't have his 325 minerals yet. It's 325 for the operational headquarters, and then 75 for the beacon. So I guess at the end of the day, it's the 400 minerals that we're used to. Let me introduce our Protoss player, who appears to be one-basing, by the way. If you like corned beef, you might like it on a piece of rye! Now that is a melodramatic sandwich. Anybody else hungry? I thought our Protoss player might have just been slow to expand, but look, his core is almost 3/4 of the way done. It's like he's one-basing, but he's only got a single gate. So he might be doing some kind of tech sprint or something. Core finishes up. Oh, it's a double Stargate right off the bounce. So I'm thinking Rye knows I'm planning on focusing on the UED here, so he's like being doubly interested. Just to mess with me. Okay, that is a Garmer that just showed up. Its label is a genetically engineered monstrosity, but it only costs 50 minerals. It's the UED's cheapest unit. It only does 6 damage, but double damage versus light, which probes happen to be. So it's a very cost-effective rush unit. It's only got 45 hit points though. So I think Rye's kind of got the right idea here. Workers should be able to focus it down. Except that ShizunkCZ actually doing some really good kiting here. He's getting in a little bit more damage than he should. And if he took the time to click, he should have got the scout on that double Stargate. He's gonna need some kind of air defense. Okay, so that looked like 3 worker kills and a complete scout. You gotta be happy with that. But Rye's got Void Rays in production, or at least one of them. Notably, he hasn't started up Warp Gate research. He's actually produced that Stalker the old-fashioned way. Oh, hello! Looks like we've got enrichment towers on our minerals here. Those are something you can build from the operational headquarters. Now, every time one of those workers, called a salvager, goes to grab minerals, he gets 2 extra. So, ShizunkCZ has improved his mining rate, but he's gonna mine out a little bit faster now. Which is why, as a strategy, I think he's doing that at his natural and not his main. I really like that. Enrichment towers aren't free. They don't just cost energy like a mule. 25 minerals and 25 gas for each of them. So it's a real investment to put it across your entire mineral line. Oh boy, we got simultaneous attacks here. A whole bunch of Garmers. But I think Rye's first Void Ray is actually going to hit first. There's not much in the way of defense for either player right now. The UED's got a couple of strike troopers on its ramp, but that's a bit like 2 Marines up against 1 Void Ray. You take the Void Ray on that match. Strike troopers have 70 hit points apiece though, so they're a little bit more sturdy than a Marine. But now that we got 2 Void Rays, I don't think it matters. Salvagers only have 45 hit points, and they don't regenerate or have shields. They also don't repair, they don't build. Their only 2 activities are mining and dying. Oh, recall! Oh, that worked out for the UED. He forced the Protoss to bring it all home. Now you'll see those Garmers have that burrowing attack. It's actually called burrowing charge. It doesn't actually deliver any extra damage, but it does have a knockback to it. And since the Garmers can't shoot up, the Void Rays are gonna win the day. Now it looks like ShizunkCZ has wisely turned a bunch of his arsenals, his supply depots, into air turrets. He's gotta get ready because those Void Rays are coming back. Oh, and it does look like Protoss was the winner of that first exchange. Anyway, I think there's going to be a strategy where UED players are going to learn to put their arsenals or supply depots where they plan on putting their turrets in advance. For example, those arsenals in the middle of the main aren't nearly as useful as the ones he's putting around the edges by the mineral lines. Unless that Void Ray decides to fly right into that turret wall. Nope, he's going around, he's going for the natural, which would be a good choice because there's no defense there, though there are strike troopers available, lots of them this time. But that Void Ray is going to link up with 2 more, 4 more. Oh, this could be a bit of a bloodbath here. One thing I've noticed is when you kill a salvager, they make this incredibly satisfying and soothing sound. It's this dry, low-pitched ping. I love it. Makes me just want to slaughter them. Oh, both our players being a little bit timid here. I think those Void Rays could really carve those troopers up. But I guess if the troopers don't want to fight, the Void Rays are happy to kill workers. They need to be pulled. Now, Shizunk is researching an upgrade called spare rifle batteries. That's going to give the strike trooper a second kind of attack, one that has better range and damage, but a slower attack rate. And it does bonus damage against armor, so all in all, very good against Void Rays. But meanwhile, Rise got his expansion up, and thanks to the power of Chrono Boost, he's gonna catch up on workers. It takes 12 seconds to make a salvager, just like it takes 12 seconds to make a probe. But if you're timing your Chrono Boost right, it should only take 9 seconds to make that probe. Oh, the Void Rays are swinging around again. They're looking at the main this time. There is 1 missile tower in the back there. Its attack is only 8, but it's a quadruple attack. So it really packs quite a punch. But still, that's just too many Void Rays. He's going to be able to focus that down. And Rai does, and Shizunk's in a whole bunch of trouble. He needs to pull those workers. He does. The Garmers are no help, but the Strike Troopers have their upgrade now. There, you can see they're shooting those long-range lasers. The Void Rays don't like that. I actually think Rai can win that fight, but the problem is, nobody really knows. Because you just have to have that level of experience and comfort to know which battles you're going to win and which you aren't. It's like G.I. Joe says, knowing is half the battle, and the problem here is you don't know. And what you don't know rightly scares you. Protoss is now researching +1 air and +1 shields out of his forge. So he continues to go all in on air, still adding to his Void Ray count. He has not gotten Warp Gate research, for example. But that's 7 Void Rays, that's a lot of firepower. And no missile turrets on the left side of the base. There will be upgraded Strike Troopers though. Shizunk's making them 4 at a time now. He's got a second teleporter. Oh, here comes that satisfying thunking sound. Shizunk wants to pull his workers, but he's hypnotized by the sound of them dying. Just kidding. He's going to try to save them with the Strike Troopers. There we go. He's stacking them up into bigger numbers. Oh, look at that worker death. 49 dead salvagers. That is a huge deficit. But Rai's still on 2 bases and only has 35 workers himself. So I don't think that's quite game yet. But UED's in a lot of trouble. His economy is not exactly humming here. Protoss has twice the income coming in right now. Both minerals and gas, and he's got himself a fleet beacon. He's making me happy and he's getting flux veins. So really, he's just going all in on Void Rays, and Shizunk's either going to solve that or he's going to die. What does the UED have for anti-air? We can talk about that after the game. But we should also talk about that the creator of the UED, a guy by the name of the Oracle, has actually produced a complete campaign for the UED. I think it's coming out soon, or maybe it'll already be out by the time I upload this. There's an actual trailer for it, which is very impressive, and I'm going to show it after this game. Oh, the Strike Troopers are pushing out. That could actually be very good or very bad. It's bad because he's got no defense at home. But if he can bring the fight to his opponent's base, the Void Rays can't run away like they have been. Oh, 3 turrets this time. Is that enough? Not if they are not all firing. They have a range of 7. Why are they not shooting? I must be wrong. Their range must be worse than 7. It really looks to me like their range is worse than that of a traditional Terran missile turret. Photon cannons also have a range of 7. Is this going to be a base race? No, he's going to recall again. That works out for Shizunk. That's what he wanted to have happen. Now the Void Rays have to face his army, or Shizunk gets his natural. I think the UED's gambit just paid off here. If nothing else, he can get some pylons and set up a supply block. This time it's Rye who needs the worker pull. They may not have as satisfying a death sound, but that's no reason to keep him around. Does it seem right that the trooper guns have better range than the missile towers? Oh, and suddenly neither player really has any workers at all. There's the pro pull. Both economies are in shambles, and we've got ourselves a game here. I think we're about to see our very first all-time UED laser light show. Let's enjoy. How about that? The Nexus blows up the exact same way. Rye's gonna turtle up. He makes a row of photon cannons at his main. He just sacks his natural and keeps cranking out more air units. A Void Ray, but also a Tempest in production. There's 2 carriers, but the strike troopers are really just shooting down the interceptors. Oh, if Protoss doesn't hold this, it would be such a comeback. Now, you probably notice that every time one of those strike trooper dies, he starts to flash, and then there's a little gray bar that times out. What that means is the strike trooper gets the condition incapacitated, and he only has 1 hit point. And the reason there's a point to that is there's another unit called the Lazarus, and that can heal troops that have the incapacitated condition. But so far, that's not in use in this game. Wow, Shizunk has taken the lead and resources lost. Neither player, though, has much of an army right now. They're both going to do some serious wound licking. Rye, though, seems to be transitioning into carriers and tempests. Shizunk is not rebuilding his army just yet. He's trying to focus on his shattered economy. Man, the tile set for this map is so beautiful, which I totally forgot to introduce. This is Waterfall, by the way. It is not an official Blizzard map yet, but we suspect that it will be because it's the winner of the Team Liquid map contest. It has ramps on all 3 of the closest expansions, which I think is going to be a defining feature for this map. Oh, it looked like Shizunk wanted to get himself a 3rd, but the Void Rays shut that down. There's only 3 of those Void Rays, though. At this phase of the game, that's just a light harass as opposed to an actual attack. Rye's kept the rest of his army at home. I understand that choice. He doesn't have warp gates, and he's only got a single gateway. If his air moves out, he's really got no defense. But at some point, he's gonna have to move his air out if he expects to win. I think we've seen Rye's plan to date as he tries to manage that problem by using the strategic recall from the Nexus. The problem is, after he lost his natural, his opponent has a much better economy than he has. So this pause is gonna benefit the UED disproportionately. I don't want to stress anybody out, but one of the questions you gotta be asking yourself while you're playing a StarCraft game is time in my favor or is time in my opponent's favor? Sometimes the answer is neither, and you really don't have to dwell on it. But right now, it's just fundamentally shifted over to Shizunk, and he's gonna look to get ahead by trying to secure a 3rd base. He's also teched up to a Starship maintenance plant. That means his teleporters will now start to produce air units. And I suppose going air is one way to secure yourself some anti-air. Oh, here comes the Protoss. I mean, why not? Let's get some more therapy from those dying salvagers. 66 dead workers and counting. I feel like those missile towers are deliberately trying to look the other way. That's why they're not firing. They've been paid off. There's corruption in the UED, I tell ya. Maybe Mengsk was right all along. Alright, so the strike troopers are gonna chase off those Void Rays, but they're just gonna reposition over at the natural. Because the missile towers at the natural are equally corrupt. I'm just kidding, of course. Rye is being careful just to position his Void Rays just outside of range. And thanks to the latest round of harass, he's actually catching up on resources lost. Oh yeah, he can just really bounce back and forth between the main and natural all day at this point. Which has got to be why Shizunk is so keen to get himself some air units. Right now, all he's got is these strike troopers. Oh, there's a Valkyrie on the way. If you think you recognize that name from your Brood War days, it's not a coincidence. I'm pretty sure the UED Valkyrie is a nod to the Valkyrie from Brood War. So the first ship that popped out was actually a strike fighter. That one shoots air and land. The second one is a Valkyrie. That's the air-to-air fighter. Regardless, the Void Rays don't care to discuss it. They're getting out of there. Meanwhile, Shizunk is getting +2 armor. That's going to take him to +2/+2. And our Protoss player is getting +2 air attack. He's also expanding, taking that 3rd. I do feel like that 3rd base location is just a smidgen more defensive than some of the other maps we've seen. Rye's adding another carrier to his Golden Armada there. They haven't been very effective against those upgraded strike troopers so far. But part of that might be because Rye hasn't gotten that critical mass that he needs. You need a certain number of those interceptors before they really start to pile it on. Oh, the Void Rays are going to get confirmation on the 3rd, but it's going to cost a Void Ray. I noticed that the Operations Center is a clone from one of these structures that we see on 2000 Atmospheres. It actually seems to work pretty well. If you're taking the UED for a test drive yourself, I should mention that there's a lot of different versions out there. So you might come across some options that you don't see in a game like this. In particular, I feel like I've seen different versions of the way the beacon works. Oh, double Tempest in production for Protoss. Oh, we've got an infusion tower coming up for the UED. That's how the UED gets its healing. It's a bit like a shield battery. It heals allied units and allied structures alike. It even heals itself. But the really weird part is the visual effect. Anything it heals gets this weird orange static electricity. The unit looks like it's getting burned, but it's actually getting healed. Anyway, just like with a shield battery, a properly placed infusion tower can be a big deal. Also, a thing that's starting to become a pretty big deal is Rye's Golden Armada. His army is climbing up in size. I guess the pause in combat has been long enough at this point that both players have really benefited. So much so that Rye's gonna add 2 more Stargates, take it up to 4. I think he should throw himself a bone though and get Warp Gate research. And maybe a couple actual Warp Gates to go with it. But I think Rye's the kind of guy that when he commits to air, he really commits. Oh, the infusion tower's done. You can see the fire I was talking about. Unlike a shield battery though, it doesn't require energy. It'll just heal things all day long if they're within range. Now I've done my best to test it out, and I'm pretty sure that infusion towers do not stack. So you can't like make 5 of them and then have this rapid healing army that's pretty much invincible. Alright, looks like break time's over. Rye's bringing the Armada. Shizunk's actually pushing out as well, but I think he's going to be able to pull back with ease here. He's not too far away. Both our players look pretty even on army size. Let's see how this plays out. Oh, Rye didn't like the sight of enemy air units. He's pulling away from those Valkyries. Or he's just pulling back so he can maximize his potential to kite with those Tempests. Let's see how the Valkyries stack up. They're doing good damage, but they are just outgunned in terms of numbers. The UED is teleporting in strike troopers 6 at a time, but they are up against the big guns from the Protoss Air Armada. And Shizunk starts researching the +1 attack for heavy weapons. That's the numeric upgrade for starships and vehicles. You get that at the military research station. But when it comes to air upgrades, Protoss has a big lead right now. But the Protoss is pulled back, and the UED is gonna slide forward. Shizunk has definitely had better engagements when he's attacking as opposed to defending. I think he's made that assessment, and he's gonna push the attack. By the time he gets there though, look out, because the Protoss Deathball will be even bigger. The 2 Valkyries get there first, but they probably want to wait for the rest of the army. Looks like free kills for Rye there. But here comes the cavalry. I think we got a big clash. I just noticed that Rye has not made any shield batteries to retreat to. A battery overcharge would be very helpful in a scenario like this. Oh, the strike troopers were getting a chance to battle the interceptors without having to fight the rest of the fleet. Rye corrects that, but it might have been too late. The carriers have been emptied. That's what he needs, those purple blasts bombing away. Bonus points if you can lure the UED into the photon cannons. You might be able to spot a couple of high-flying little drones there. Oh, they just got blown up, but those word detectors called Crimson Eyes, they're kind of neat, and I was hoping to get a chance to talk about them, but never mind. Oh, Rye's got a good position now, using the terrain very effectively. Taking free shots while the strike troopers force their way up the ramp and go by the cannons. But Shizunk has an opportunity to shut down the production here. Yes, there's a lot of pylons, but that is all the Stargates that the Protoss has. This is tense. The UED is thinning out, but they just might have captured the Protoss main here. Oh, the strike troopers started to go for the mineral line, but then they saw a photon cannon and they pulled back. And now they're trapped, sandwiched between the Tempests. It might even be a sandwich on Rye, and the Protoss gets the cleanup, including this Johnny-come-lately coming up the ramp to die. That was a Drakkar APC. It's kind of like a dropship that moves on land. And you might rightly ask, what is the point of that exactly? And the point is, it's actually really fast. So you can get your troops across the battlefield quicker, And as an added bonus, if the carrier is destroyed, the troops actually survive, they just get out. And unlike a medevac, it actually attacks. Oh, I love that Shizunk is keeping spare beacons on hand. That way he's got something on hand when he needs to build something and he doesn't lose time requesting it. Now you can actually teleport in a building without a beacon. You can do it from any operation headquarters. But everything costs 75 minerals more, which is the price of the beacon, so it's kind of a wash. And you can't call down a building if you have a worker queued up. So if you want to keep on top of your macro, you gotta be using the beacons. And speaking of macro, it's gonna be Protoss who's gonna be the first to get a 4th base. And following standard Starcraft dogma, Rai's gonna push out as he expands. If your opponent's defending, he's probably not attacking your vulnerable expansion. Looks like Rai's given up on the carriers. It looks like the field test is confirmed the Tempests are the best against those strike troopers. They can outrange them and they do so much damage. I know most of you guys know this, but just for some of our newer players, a lot of people think the Tempest does splash damage because it certainly looks like it, but it does not. Welcome, almighty pyramid. Can you spot the hidden battle ducts in that nexus? The mysteries of the Protoss. Such as, what exactly is that giant ball of light that's suspended within the pincers of the Tempest? Well, if the missile towers couldn't hit the Void Rays, they're definitely not going to get the Tempest. Oh, that's more than one Valkyrie this time. They'd love to get some splash volleys on those Tempests all packed up like that. Oh, let's see how this plays out. Rai wisely pulls back to see if he can use his range. He wants to get some kiting going on. And he clears out the Valkyries. And the poor Crimson Eye, those poor things just can't stay alive. But a number of the Tempests have been badly softened up. I bet they'd sure appreciate a shield battery or two to retreat to. Oh, Rai's getting tectonic destabilizers and +3 shields. You usually need a pretty long game to see +3 shields, and I think we've officially got one. Oh, we got a new unit getting added in. Oh, it's the Typhoon. This thing can be a terrific anti-air device. I should qualify that, because technically it doesn't do any more damage against air than it does against the ground. But it's got terrific range and it just shoots a ton of missiles. It's actually got the same range as the Tempest, or I should say, the same range as the Tempest attacking targets on the ground. Because the Tempest has this weird thing where it can hit targets in the air much farther. Oh, the tectonic destabilizers are on. We've got orange shots instead of purple. Look how those Typhoons in the back just chew up the Zealots. The strike troopers are going to screen the shots and the Typhoons are just going to add the damage right in there. Rai's got to focus fire on the Typhoons, but he's prioritized the Valkyries. Wasn't there a million Tempests a few seconds ago? Oh, Shizunk is reinforcing. He's bringing up more troops from behind. Is he going to try for the production in the main again, or is he going to go for the natural? Oh my god, those Typhoons are unreal. It's like they're just spitting on those Tempests. Oh, the Tempests are overkilling the strike troopers and it's wasting shots. That's such a hard thing to micromanage. And once again, both players' massive armies has been decimated. Shizunk is gonna head home. He didn't get a base, but boy, he did decimate his opponent's fleet. And he's just rolling out the Typhoons now. He's decided to match range with range. Now, if we're really doing that, the UED's got a unit that actually has even better range. I have no idea how to pronounce it, but it's this super long-range artillery gun. You have to micro the shots individually, though. It's a bit analogous to a disruptor. Oh, the Typhoons have reinforced and they've returned. They don't have any screeners this time. Let's see how that changes things. The Zealots are going to get in there, and that means the Tempests are going to be able to fire at the Typhoons. I was just thinking that Rai needs charge, but he's ahead of me. He's researching Zealot charge. And he's actually got Warp Gate researched at this point, as well as 3 other gates to go with it. This late in the game, he has to have a ground game. Otherwise, he's just too easily countered. In fact, Rai's getting his +1 melee attack, because it's never too late to upgrade your Zealots. More Valkyries popping out for the UED. Triple teleporters working full time. Each one of those essentially has a free reactor on it. And so Shizunk is making units 6 at a time, and right now he's trending towards more and more expensive ones. +3 attack finishing up for Protoss. And both our players' incomes have rebounded at this point. 4 bases to 4, Rai with the army lead, Shizunk with the worker lead. Which is all the more remarkable when you think about how many workers Shizunk has lost. He's up to 72 now. But he's planning a major push. He's got his teleportation nodes rallied right to the middle of the map. or just beyond the river. He's definitely gonna attack. Oh, we've got tanks. Napoleons, they're called. I think these are meant to be ShizunkCZ's zealot stoppers. They don't shoot up, so they're not gonna help him in the coming air war, but they do terrific damage against light. And with 220 hit points, they're not just good looking, they can take a punch. I guess the argument against them is every time he makes a Napoleon, that's one less Typhoon, and those were really working for him. Oh, hold that thought, because here we go. Yeah, the Zealots just get obliterated, but there's a lot of Stalkers there. Stalkers aren't light, and they're getting bonus damage against armor. But on the other hand, they're just not beefy enough, particularly with those Strike Troopers and the Typhoon backing them up. Looks like both players were unhappy with how that went, and they both back off. It's a pretty terrific stalemate, but I think Rai took the worst of it, just on supply, and right now it's Shizunk who's really reinforcing his army here. Rai needs some units pronto. He needs to be working those warp gates. He's going to take his warp gate count up to 6. Oh, and he's going to try to expand. I don't think he knows that Shizunk is on his doorstep. I don't know about this. He's powering and going for economy when he really needs units. But if Shizunk sits back, then I've been proven wrong. This will pay off for Rai because he'll come out of this a lot stronger. But we'll see. Right now he's just getting way behind on army. Shizunk's making 5 more tanks. Oh, yep, Shizunk's got the correct read here. Oh, I see, he had a crimson eye, so he saw exactly what was going down. Okay, shoot the observer, guys, my bad. The crimson eye acts like a slow-range mobile sensor tower. So what Shizunk did is he parked himself in a position so he could see when the Protoss would expand. And then he popped up and capitalized. Very nicely executed. Like an observer, the crimson eye doesn't attack. But it does more than just anti-cloaking detection. It gives you that wide range of vision. The kind with the little red dots. Afterwards, I gotta go back and put it in so you can see it. Of course, if I actually remember to do that, you will have already seen it. It's kind of like going back in time. Is that trippy or what? That's right, only with Zugzwang Starcraft can you get a truly mind-blowing time travel experience. Oh, and so now the Crimson Eye gave vision for the Typhoons to get their shots off. Now the Napoleons are now as well. But you credit that opening salvo to the Crimson Eye. Oh, that was a pretty decisive victory there. I think the army disparity just got the biggest it's been all game long. The Napoleons chewed up the Zealots, the Typhoons, everything else, including the air. I guess we gotta give some credit to those Strike Troopers. They've been battling it out all game long for 27 minutes now. Oh my goodness, Shizunk's going home! Or is he just rallying his troops here? He's gotta know what he has. He should just be able to waltz up and win from here. Rai's trying to buy some time. He's researching Blink and +3. But it looks like the price of that extra time is going to be to sack his third. No, he's going to try. The Napoleons are in the wrong spot, so he can try to attack from behind. No, there's just too much there. Everything melts. That was The Last Tempest. Oh, I think that's like a movie title. The Last Tempest. Starring Academy Award winners Selendis and Artanis. The Last Tempest. Well, actually, I think this is the last gasp here. There's a warp into 6 Stalkers. But Shizunk is parade pushing now. You can see orange just trickling down the map. Hey, it looks like a waterfall. The UED forces have cut off the Protoss 4th base from the rest of the Protoss army. And that's a big deal because other than a few tiny patches of minerals, the 4th base is really the sum total of the Protoss economy. Yeah, I'm afraid we can start singing the na-na-na song here. The UED now has a 100 lead in supply. And I think these players were just too even for Rai to micro his way back from that. There's a laser light show and the Protoss economy is no more. The UED are just savages, man. They're chasing down the fleeing innocent probes. Shizunk probably has recent memories of the sheer number of workers that he lost at his enemy's hands. That dry, awful feeling is his thirst for revenge. Well, I want to thank Joseph for recommending this replay to me. It showcased a whole bunch of different UED units. Oh, look at this spirit. Rai's gonna go out fighting. The Zealots, though, man, they just die. Even the probes are coming over to die. Rai's not gonna waste a single unit. He wants everything he has to die. There's the GG. That was a fun one, but no, we do not have a UED victory dance. But what we do have is something even cooler. We have the UED campaign trailer. Check this out.
They told us Earth's first encounter with the Zerg was the Dougal mission. Corporal, what we looking at?
Looks like pirates stripped the hell out of this place, sir.
Possible 1091 Echo at the Connolly Apartment Building at 8826 Rochester Street. Redirect and confirm.
We had the most powerful military in our history. But nothing we had was going to be enough.
There is no great prophecy foretelling of your liberation. There is no fatal weakness for you to exploit. There is no deliverance, no reprieve, no escape, no future. Your gods are dead. I am your god now.
Well, there you have it. Let me just say I got permission to run this trailer. It was put together by a guy named The Oracle. You'll see his name in the credits there. I love the company name Nexus Core, by the way. So I'm stoked to see what this fresh take will bring, and if I get more info, I'll remember to share it here. And in the meantime, thank you to the subscribers. Thank you to Joseph for sending this game my way. And from my base to yours, Zugzwang out. To continue your StarCraft journey, Nova advises you to click the video in the upper rectangle. But Kerrigan warns you to watch your 6 and click the video in the bottom rectangle. Or you can stimpack your StarCraft experience. Subscribe to Zugzwang StarCraft. Just hit the circle. From my base to yours, Zugzwang out.